Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And it's just a quick video to know if the Lord is dealing with you or not. Right? Because a lot of people, how do you know? A lot of people want to know, how do the Lord, or how do I know that the Lord is dealing with me? For one, being out of this truth or not knowing the truth, you'll notice a growth or an increase, right? You start slowly but surely. You start to, learn the Lord's name, start keeping the commandments, and with that, you just start, inheriting a spiritual growth and a spiritual increase. Also, right, the Lord will give you the ability to be able to judge matters righteously, to understand certain matters and how to deal with them on a righteous level. And thirdly, discernment, right? The Lord will give you discernment. Again, understanding what's right and what's wrong in this world and in this truth. And at the end of the day, your faith will increase and get built up. All right, so let's get a couple of precepts. So this book of Exodus, chapter 4 and verse number 10. It reads, "And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue." So here you can see, Moses, not very sure of himself, not very confident, and he's telling the Lord, "Hey, I don't have the best speech, I don't have the best tongue, right? I'm not that mighty, and eloquent in my character, right? But this is what the Lord said. It says, and the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb or deaf, or the seeing or blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say." See that? The Lord said, commanded him to go, and he was going to be his mouth, right? And teach thee what thou shalt say. And that's the same thing when you come into the knowledge of this truth. The Lord is going, once you understand what the will of the Lord is, how to keep his commandments, how to have faith, right? The Lord is going to show you. The Lord is going to teach you, right? Let me get a quick precept, right? Because in the end, in the end day, the Lord is going to speak for you, right? The Lord is going to, tell you, how to deal with certain matters. He'll give you signs, give you different prophecies, different wonders, but you have to understand, that you have to. It takes time, It takes time for the Lord to build you up and show you certain things. But once you do, you receive it and you do understand, then your faith becomes unbreakable. Right? This is a book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 20. It says, "For it is not ye that speak." Let's start at verse 16. It reads, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues." This is Yahweh Shai talking to the disciples. It says, "And you shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what you shall speak." See that? The Lord said, don't even think in the last days when counselors and governors try to take you out, right? The Lord said, don't even think about what you're going to say or what you're going to do. The Lord said he's going, in that same hour, he's going to give you, he's going to speak for you, right? He's going to put on your tongue what he wants you to say. But that's if the Lord is dealing with you. It says, for it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. So you'll see when, once the Lord starts dealing with you, he's going to he's going to speak for you. He's going to give you that confidence. That's where, look, I don't even have to think about I don't even have to think about or tell these governors, these police officers, these whoever's trying to deliver you up, ICE agents, whether it be ICE agents or military, the military raging war against the Israelites. Hey, the Lord is going to put that spirit on you on what you should say, right? Going back to Exodus, Exodus 5:1, right? So let's see the transformation and the increase from the 4th chapter to the 5th chapter, right? Exodus 5:1. It says, and afterward Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go. So as you can see, right, the Lord, it's like you can see how Moses went from being very timid, very doubtful, very unsure, now in chapter 5, telling Pharaoh, hey, to let the Israelites go boldly, right? Standing up boldly in the name of the Lord, right? Telling Pharaoh, telling the king, hey, to let the Israelites go, right? Also, like you look at how Moses was given certain visions and dreams, and how he led the Israelites out of Egypt and parted the Red Sea for him. Not only that, the Lord showed Moses the end of the world. He showed him different dreams, what the end of the world will look like. Again, the Lord, showing you that the increase in the growth through Moses and the faith as well that he's dealing with him. Right. Let's get this precept real quick. The second address. Right. I believe it's 14:2. Slocky. Gotta brush this precept off. Let's see. Bear with me. Let's see. Right here. All right. Second address 14:3. Then said he unto me, in the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses and talk with him. See, this is the Lord. Again, he's revealing himself to Moses. See, the Lord is not going to reveal himself to everybody, right? The Lord is only going to reveal himself to you if he believes you, right? If he believes that you're going to be, worthy to accept him. If you're going to be, worthy to believe on his name. Are you going to believe in the miracles? Are you going to keep the commandments? Are you going to believe on his son? And if the Lord see that, through patience, through growth, through an increase, if you're doing these things, hey, guess what? The Lord will show you certain things. The Lord will give you visions, just like he did Moses. Right? Reading on, it says, then said he unto me, in the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses and talked with him when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt and brought him up to the mountain of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season. See that? The Lord was with Moses for a long season. What do you think he was doing? Why are we going to read it? It says, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, these words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide. So the Lord showed Moses wondrous things. He showed up the end of the world. Right? I mean, who else? I mean, who who else knows what the Lord, the Most High, showed Moses? But again, verse 6, he said he showed him what to, what to cast out, what to bring out, what to put in the book, and what not to put in the book. Right? Verse 7, and now I say unto thee, that thou lay up in thy heart the signs that I have showed, and the dreams that thou hast seen, and the interpretations which thou hast heard. Right, is any more of this? Right, verse 9. But thou shalt be taken away from all, and from henceforth thou shalt remain with my son. See that? Lord said, you're going to be with my son. Right? And again, you see the growth from Moses being timid, from him being bold and courageous, to the Lord showing him signs. And with such as be like thee, until the times be ended. Right? So you see, the growth and the increase that Moses had, right? From the time he, from the time he was, young, right? Having a slow speech, all the way up until, telling Pharaoh to, let my people go, all the way into the Lord, showing him different signs and wonders, right? And that's the Lord, dealing with you, man. Hey, the Lord will deal with you the same way he dealt with the prophets. But again, it takes growth, it takes increase, it takes a tremendous amount of faith and belief, right? And again, it all starts, coming into this truth, as a babe, right? Being young, right? And again, the Lord will sup with you, right? The Lord will give you the ability to, again, to understand how to, judge certain matters, righteous matters, right? And that's how, again, because a lot of times we don't know how to, judge righteously. We don't know, what's right. We don't know the commandments. We don't know what's right and what's wrong. But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, the Lord will, grant us, these commandments. He'll show us the commandment. He'll show us this truth. And with this truth, he'll show you this doctrine. Right? Again, the commandments and understanding that you must have faith, right? If you want to increase, you must have faith. If you want the Lord to sup with you, if you want the Lord to deal with you. But again, you have to come out as a babe, right? Let's get the book of 1 Kings on how to judge righteously, on how to judge certain matters. Because that's important, being able to, have a discernment, being able to, understanding how to, what's that word I want to say? Being a problem solver, right? A lot of people, don't know how to become problem solver. It takes a long time for people to, become a problem solver. And some people never get it. But being in this truth, it's different from, being a problem solver in this world and in this truth. Again, knowing how to judge matters righteously as to where it's fair. Because, hey, in Esau's kingdom, hey, life ain't fair. Esau don't judge righteously. He had people in jail for, a no apparent reason. He had Esau doing away with laws and doing whatever he wanted to do with his laws. So in this in this captivity, in this world, there's no righteousness. There's no righteous judgment. There's no righteous problem solving. But once you come into the knowledge of this truth, hey, the Lord will teach you that. And once you understand that and how to do it, then this is how you know that the Lord is dealing with you. Right? This is 1 Kings 3:16. This is what I want. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. The woman said, "O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. Right. So we got two harlots. They both delivered a kid at the same time. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save, meaning except we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. Right. So the other woman, she, laid on her child, killed the child. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me. Right. So she's bringing this cause to King Solomon. And we're going to see how King Solomon, how he judges. Right. Because we know King Solomon's heart was dear unto the Lord's. It says, while thine handmaid slept and laid it in her bosom and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. So the other woman took the other woman's child, gave her son, and she took hers, right, while she was sleeping. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. And the other woman said, nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is your son. So they're going back and forth. They're like, wait a minute. So King Solomon didn't know whose son it is, but let's see how he judges this matter. And it said, no, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they speak before the king. Then said the king, the one saith, this is my son that liveth, and the son is, and thy son is a dead. And the other saith, nay, but thy son is a dead, and my son is a living. And the king said, bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child into two. Right? So King David, he about to slay, and this is how he's about to figure out, whose child is true, whose child is who. So King David said, hey, divide the kid up in two. Right? Let's see who really cares for the kid. And give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, oh my lord, give her the living child. So the woman who's pleading to King Solomon, who was saying, hey, this is my son, the living son, this is my son the whole time. She like, hey, you know what? Hey, let her take my son, because she didn't want her son to die. But we're gonna see the reaction with the other woman who stole her son. It says, in no wise slay it, but the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. See that? See, the other woman who had the dead son, she didn't even really care. But the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. See that? And that's righteous judgment. That's wisdom. And again, the Lord put that spirit on him to deal with the matter like that. It's the same way the Lord is going to give us, put the spirit on us to tell these different rulers and kings and judges, what to say in the end times or in the end days when we're about to be delivered up. Right? There's no difference. Right? It says, and all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, but they saw that wisdom, where they saw that the wisdom of Yahweh was in him to do judgment. And again, the Lord is going to give us wisdom in that day, but it's through time, it's through patience, it's through growth. And again, the Lord is going to sup with us, but he wants to see if we're worthy. He wants to see if we really want it, right? And the Lord will provide us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of scriptures, and he's going to build us up in the faith, right? Let's get this real quick. Okay, you got to be tried, man. Right? If you want this truth, you're gonna be tried. You have to be tried for the Lord to prove you. Right? Just like anything else, you on the job, right? You in a relationship, or you trying to, date somebody. Hey, you gotta be tried, man. You gotta be proven. Pretty sure a woman ain't just gonna, invite you over and she don't know you. Well, you're not gonna get a job at a reputable company if they don't have a good background on you. They don't do the background check. Same thing with couples. Hey, you gotta vet people, man. All right, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 18. It says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, right? So this isn't literal gold, right? This gold is symbolic of this truth, right? This truth, which has been, um, what's the word I want to say? Tried 7 times. Let's get that precept. I believe it's in Psalms 19. And I use that precept in a minute. Psalm 19. Is it 14 and 7? Oh, man. I don't think this was what I wanted, but I'll take it. Psalms 19 and 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Oh, that's no. What is that precept? What's that precept? 7 times. Purified 7 times. It's a set Psalms. I know it's in Psalms. Psalms 12 and 6. Damn. All right. So with the Psalms, chapter 12. That was a good precept, though. Psalms 12, verse number 6. Here it goes. The words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. So this word, this truth is also equivalent to gold, purified 7 times in the furnace, right? So going back to that in Revelation. Let's go back to Revelation 3, verse 18. It's saying, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. And so when you see, that the Lord is dealing with you, and he's going to remove that, right? He's going to, anoint your eyes with eye salve and take the scales off your eyelids, right? He's going to show you the way. He's going to show you the truth, right? Let me see, Richard. Right, yeah. Reading on. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten, by zealous therefore and repent. So I can be zealous therefore and repent. So the Lord will give you that spiritual eye salve to understand the precepts and how to increase that faith, which is at the end of the day, which is what is needed to inherit the kingdom, right? Faith, right? This faith is what's gonna get you over the hump. Right, again, have to grow, have to increase little by little, day by day, just like a babe. Right, let's get that precept from 1 Peter. Right, just like Moses and all the other prophets, right? Just like Jeremiah 1 and 5. And the Lord said, before you even knew me, I knew you in the womb. Roughly paraphrase. For I formed thee. That's what it is. 1 Peter 2 and 2, it says, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. So again, the milk, what is this milk? This milk is symbolic of the commandments, right? Knowing the commandments, right? Because for you to be obedient to the Lord, you have to keep his commandments. The Lord wants you the Lord wants to see that you're going to be obedient first. And once the Lord sees that you're obedient by keeping his commandments, then he's going to start working with you. Then he's going to start dealing with you. He's going to start stuff with you once he sees that you're obedient. And after that, once he sees that you're obedient, then he's going to start giving you, gifts, right? Whatever you start praying for, if you want to pray for an increase, you want to know more, you want to learn more, then the Lord is going to grant you with that. But at the end of the day, what you want and what we want, so we know that the Lord is dealing with us, is faith, because faith is what's going to get us there. Faith in Yahweh Shai is going to get us the kingdom. So we have to keep the commandments, right? We have to keep the commandments and have faith in Yahweh Shai, right? To understand, these different matters, to know that the Lord is dealing with us. All right, let's get another account. Book of Matthew. The book of Matthew, chapter 17. Mark, yeah, that's Mark. Matthew 17, and verse number 20. It reads, start up a little bit. 20. Start verse 14. It says, and when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. For oftentimes he falleth into the fire and often into water. And brought him to your disciples, and they could not cure him. And Yahushua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Talking to the disciples. Again, you see what he called him? He said, O faithless and perverse generation. Because the Lord wants us to be faithful in him. You were around Yahushua, he was performing miracles. And for you to be around him and to still be faithless, hey, that's why, faith in Yahushua is what's going to get you through. If it, again, it starts by believing, right? It starts by believing in the Lord. It starts by believing in Yahushua. And once the Lord see that you're doing these things, then guess what? He'll give you whatever you want, right? Hey, ask the Lord for everything in wisdom. He'll give it to you. Discernment, guidance, whatever the case may be, the Lord is going to give it to you. But again, you have to start off, slowly, day by day, drink the milk, right? Eat the bread, eat the milk. Eat the meat, drink the wine, right? The wine meaning the deeper meanings of things. But again, you have to start off as a babe, right? Start off continuing to, keep the commandments, right? And just let, nature work its course. Let nature do what it do. Let the Most High do what he do and give you that increase, right? Because the Lord will give you the increase once you're keeping the commandments. It says, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Yahushua rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. See that? Then the disciples then came the disciples to Yahushua apart and said, why could not we cast him out? And Yahushua said unto them, here it goes, because of your unbelief. Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. So as you can see, hey, look, if the Lord said, hey, if you just believe, right, you can move a mountain. But the Lord said, because of your unbelief, you can't do nothing. It's impossible. But if you believe and you have faith, just a little, you don't need it. Hey, we all know that a mustard seed is small. When you plant anything in the soil, it's small. The Lord said, hey, if you just got a little bit of faith, hey, there's nothing impossible that he'll give you. Think about that. The Lord said, if you just have a little bit of faith, the size of a damn rice, a grain of rice, hey, he'll give you, hey, nothing's impossible. So you can ask the Lord for anything. Ask him for more faith. Right? If you're struggling, ask him for more faith. And the Lord will give it to you, man. The Lord will give you whatever you want in righteousness. But it starts off again keeping his commandments. And once you start keeping commandments, the Lord will see that you're obedient, right? That you obeying him. Just like us when we're children. We're growing up in our parents' household. Once our parents, once we did what our parents told us to do, and we did it, hey, our parents gave us whatever we wanted most of the time. But if we didn't, guess what? Hey, if we ain't listen to our parents wouldn't get nothing for us. And guess what? You were less inclined to believe or have faith that your parents would do anything else for you after that. And it's the same thing with our Heavenly Father. It starts off by keeping his commandments, and then the Lord will plant that seed in you to believe, right? When the Lord reveals to you the why in your questions, a lot of, because we have questions in this truth, right? But the Lord will start revealing you, the why when you ask questions that you never knew prior to coming into this truth. Questions in his Bible, questions in life, questions in his truth, right? Again, this is how the Lord is dealing with you. Prime example, right? Hey, you could be wondering if you should I don't know what's a good example. Let's just say you're not sure, but you get a job and you're not sure if you should take the job, let's just say in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, whatever the case may be. Let's just say Florida, right? And you got a job making six figures, right? And you're just not sure if you should move to Fort Lauderdale. And so what the Lord will do is, he'll put his spirit on you, or he'll give you some wisdom, and it could be let's just say you get a call from let's just say your mom or your sister said, hey, I'm moving to Florida, or your sister says she's moving to Florida, and it makes the transition for you a lot easier. And guess what? In return, you're like, man, my mom and my sister, they're going to be in Florida. I'm making six figures, and whatever the case may be. And guess what? You ultimately start. You move to Florida, right? That just makes the move more easier for you, right? Hey, it could happen like that, right? Or hey, guess what? You could be struggling to go to work, right? You could be struggling. You wake up one day, you wake up one morning, you're like, oh, man, I don't want to go. You wake up and you turn on the TV, you turn on the news, you see that it's 12 inches of snow. It's 12 inches of snow, and it's a 7-car pile up on the expressway. Guess what? That decision for you to wonder or to know if you're going to work or not just became a lot easier, right? And the Lord will reveal certain things like that to you. The Lord will reveal, different, dreams and consequences and instances as well. Your decision making would be a lot easier, right? Just like, he told the disciples, hey, I'm going to put wisdom on you to know what you're going to say in that day, right? The Lord is going to give you the wisdom, to know what's right and what's wrong in this world and in this truth, right? Let's get a couple more precepts, close it out. Let's begin. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse number 16. It says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. So again, if you have faith, you'll be able to, cast down demons, cast out spirits, and that's how important faith is. Because once you inherit faith, nothing can stop you. That's why if you keep reading on, you require faith, and you're able to, quench, darts that being thrown at you, meaning these spirits that come your way. Then guess what it says? It says, take the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. So the Lord is going to help you to persevere once you have faith, right? And that faith is going to give you salvation. All right, let's get a couple more. Ephesians 4. Ephesians 4 and verse number this is that 8. Excuse us all. 4 verse 12. Right after verse 12. It reads, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Hamashiach, till we come into the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of Yahweh, unto a perfect man. See, this is what happens when you receive faith. You become a perfect man, into the measure of the stature of the fullness of Hamashiach, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro. So once you receive faith, hey, you can't be told a lie. You can't be told something that's wrong, right? It says, and carried about with everyone of doctrine by the sleight of man and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive, right? So once you come into the knowledge of this truth, right, the Lord is giving you wisdom and faith, and you can't be deceived, right? It says, but speaking the truth and love, and grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Hamashiach. So as you can see again, like once you have this faith, you can't be confounded. You can't be tossed to and fro with any other doctrine, because the Lord has given you faith to believe, right? To believe that you can overcome anything, to the point where you can move a mountain, till you can say anything to any and everybody and not be afraid. It's like you're protected. It's like I read in Ephesians 6 and 17, the helmet of salvation and the shield of faith. Right? You'll be able to stand boldly against anybody and believe that you'll be resurrected and receive salvation. Right? Let's get this one last precept. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse number 8. It says, for by grace are ye saved through faith. See that? You're saved by grace through faith. So if you don't have faith, you don't get grace. It works like that. It says, in that not of yourselves, it is the gift of Yahweh. So the faith that you receive, the grace that you receive, hey, it's all a gift. Right? It's a gift that's, guess what? Because, everybody isn't given a gift. Gifts is only given to you if you're obedient. A gift is only given to you if you're accepting of it, accepting of something. Right? To receive, a lot of times, to receive a gift, something has to be done. And with the Most High wants you to be obedient and to have faith in His Son. And guess what? The Lord will give you that gift of faith. And he don't give it to everybody. That's you got to understand. The Lord is not just handing out gifts to everybody, right? I think what's that? Okay, one more precept. Man, what is that? Ephesians 2:8. Ephesians. What's that other precept? Ephesians 2:8. Ephesians. Let me see. 4:7. Man, Ephesians 4:7 says, but unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Hamashiach. See that? It said it says everyone is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Hamashiach. But again, it goes back into what? Having faith. Because if you don't have faith, right, this grace isn't given to you. Right? And the only way to you to have this grace, and to have this mercy, is that if you increase through faith. So that's just pretty much a quick lesson that I wanted to get into. Lord willing, this message was edifying. Yahweh Shem Shalom.